Welcome to Mrs. Nightmare. These are 3 true paranormal horror stories I hope you enjoy. When I was around 7 or 8 years old, the Ouija board was really popular at the time. It was all over YouTube and I really wanted to try one out. Once I managed to get one, I immediately tried it. The first thing I asked the board was, "Is anyone there?" The board goes to yes. I ask, "What's your name?" The board spells out the name Burma. Now at the time I didn't really know the correct rules, so I wouldn't know if I triggered the spirit or not. I asked Burma, "Are you evil or good?" The board says good. I believed it and continued on. I asked Burma simple yet dumb questions such as, "What is your favorite color?" Or "What is your favorite animal? Are you a boy or a girl?" I was starting to run out of questions to ask Burma, but I didn't want to say goodbye yet. I liked Verma. She didn't seem aggressive. She seemed as if she liked the company, and so did I. And then I thought of a really good question. "How did you die?" The board spells accident. Now I'm not sure if she meant car accident or something else, but to this day I still assume she meant a car accident. I ask Verma, "Do you mean car accident?" The board spells accident again. I start to get a bit nervous, but I felt kind of bad. I ask the board, "Did someone make you get in the accident?" The board spells accident again. I ask Burma, "Is there any way I can help you?" The board spells find my bones. I start to get a bad feeling and I get even more nervous. I ask Burma, "Where are your bones?" The board says, "Behind you." I freeze. I'm too scared to even look behind me. I could imagine the pile of bones in my head, and I start to tremble a bit. I try to make myself believe that it was a misunderstanding and ask her again, "Verma, where are your bones?" The board spells behind you again. I start to freak out and get prepared to run for it. I turn around, and there's nothing. I look at the board again. "Verma, are you lying to me?" The board goes to no. I start to freak out, and I felt like I was going to faint. I move the planchette to goodbye and say goodbye, and I run out of the room. That night I couldn't sleep. I stayed in my bed awake, looking around the room every now and then. And then I hear something whisper. It wasn't very clear though. I thought it was just my sister trying to scare me. And then I hear, "Tell you a secret. I'm not Verma." My eyes widen and I look around, and I jumped out of bed terrified. There was nothing except for my sister. I try to make myself believe that it was just my sister and get back in bed and attempt to go back to sleep. The last time I talked about Burma to someone was about a year ago, again with my sister. I tell her the story a lot, and last year when I told her the full story, and she interrupts about the end of the story and says, "Noor, I don't know what you bring into this family, but every time you tell me about this, I feel dizzy and start to get a headache." I don't know if she was lying or not, but I never spoke about Verma again. I do think about her every now and then, though. I'm starting to see things, and they seem to be getting worse as the days go by. Let me explain. It started off just by some shadows, feelings of dread. As the days progressed, I started to feel like I was being watched, as if someone was in the same room as me, watching every single move, every single breath I took. Fast forward a few days after, I started to see those shadows, but instead of them being just a small glimpse and hidden, they'd be closer to me. I remember I was in the bathroom one day. I was brushing my teeth, but I felt like something grabbed my arm and started to make their grasp tighter. I turned around and there was nothing. Now, just last night, I swear, I saw something. I was getting ready for bed, turned off the lights and headed to my room. Got into bed, but I couldn't sleep. Not with all this going on. I was paranoid. What if something grabbed me in my sleep or something? And that's when I saw it. It was a small glimpse of something clinging onto my ceiling. It had a disfigured human-type body. I don't know what exactly I can do to stop this. Does anyone know what the hell is going on? A few days later, I had the most terrible sleep. I couldn't sleep no matter how hard I tried. Finally, I fell asleep. I woke up at around 3 or 4 a.m. and I immediately looked around my room as if my brain screamed at me to wake up or something. I shook that off and tried to go back to sleep, but I couldn't no matter how hard I tried. I started to get frustrated, and that's when it hit. My heart got heavy, and I got that feeling of dread again. I couldn't sleep. I lay in my bed for an hour or two, and finally, I drifted off to sleep. I was still aware of my surroundings in real life, but I was dreaming. I guess like I was drifting into my sleep slowly. My dream was about me, my older sister, and my mother in a house we've never been in before, and for some reason, all the lights were dimmed. In the dream, I headed to the bathroom. The bathroom seemed to be darker than any other room in the house. There was a huge long mirror and small sink and a shower. For some reason, I was trying to keep the bathroom door open, and it was like a thick concrete door. I was struggling to open it, and then something on the other side pushed the door like it was nothing. In the dream, I said, "Okay, wow, now you're doing this," as if I was talking to someone even though nobody was there. And then I woke up. I checked the time on my phone, and it was time for me to get ready for online school. I didn't think much of the dream until now. Anyways, I headed to the bathroom to freshen up, and midway while I was brushing, I felt like something was looming over me, staring down at me. I turned around, but stopped halfway, as if I couldn't look at them. I started to tremble a bit and my eyes widened, and I heard my own heartbeat, and I swear I saw a shadow in the corner of my eye. My father is a policeman, a no-nonsense guy who lives very much in the here and now and believes only in what he can see and feel or hear for himself. At the time of this story, he was in the police force for more than 20 years, and I was a teenager. My father worked night shifts, and on a regular basis, he would come home in the early morning to have breakfast with us before he would go to bed and we would go to school. He would usually be in a good mood and tell us funny or interesting stories from his day or night at work. This morning, he was unusually silent, and he didn't eat either. My mother asked if he felt all right. It took him a while to actually answer, and he said, "I'm not sure what I experienced tonight." He didn't want to say any more in front of us kids, but we prodded him long enough that he told us the following. It had been a quiet night, and he was out with his colleague in a police car. At some point, they were informed over the radio that a car chase was going on not far from them, and their assistance was required. They drove off towards the chase and soon caught up with the suspect vehicle. The radio had informed them that 2 men were in the front of the car. My father pulled up alongside the car so that he managed to get a good look into the inside. He saw the 2 men in the front arguing heatedly with each other, and he saw another man in the back. He had no hair and was so pale that he seemed almost white. He was dressed all in black, and he looked directly at my father, his face almost pressed against the window, with very dark eyes, and he grinned widely. My father was deeply unsettled by this person. He seemed to look directly into my father's eyes. My father was so sure of this third person that he informed the other police cars about him. The chase ended with the car crashing into a fence and the suspects fleeing into a field. They were apprehended only minutes later. There were 2 men, not 3. My father asked all of his colleagues at the scene if they were sure there hadn't been another guy. Nobody else had seen the third man. "I can't explain it," he said to us. "I saw him clear as day and he grinned at me like death himself." This took place in 2004 or 2005 in Germany. To this day, we have no logical explanation for what he really saw and experienced. If you enjoyed these stories and would like to support my channel, please subscribe. And if you have a story you'd like to share, send it to story@mrsnightmare.com. Thank you.